Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Tonight, our guest is Todd Fahnestock, epic fantasy writer and booth babe. Todd is an award-winning #1 best-selling author of fantasy for all ages and winner of the New York Public Library's Books for the Teenage Award. His passions are fantasy and his quirky, fun-loving family. When he's not writing, he teaches Taekwondo, swaps middle-grade humor with his son, plays Ticket to Ride with his wife, plots creative stories with his daughter, and wrestles with Galahad the Weimaraner. If he's not your favorite now, he will be after. Yeah. Welcome, Todd. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on the show again. I love this one. This is a great, great podcast.
Oh, good. I'm glad you have fun. Yeah, we looked, and the last time that you were on solo was like at the end of 2020. So it's been some time. I know. So, you have just a few more books out to talk about. But first, I want to go back to, I stand by Booth Babe, by the way. Like, I wrote that in, and that's because we were just at Superstars, and you taught all of these things about selling at your booth, and you rocked it. And I will say, Booth Babe, I'm sticking by that because the whole point of a Booth Babe is to attract people to the booth, right? And you gave an entire lecture on how to do that.
You're saying that I'm the Booth Babe.
You are the Booth Babe, hands down. Also, it works because look what I bought at Superstars.
Hey,
it works. The Booth Babe thing worked totally on me. Okay, it was telling the story also, but still, that's it works. Why are in-person sales so vital to your writing career? What is it about them?
I think it was kind of a mixture of a few things. I gave as you know, at that workshop, I gave the reason how I got into sales in the first place. And I hated the idea of sales. And then I found that I had a knack for it because really the core of selling a book is to tell the story, right? And I love to tell stories. And so when I got into that groove, it really sort of married up. Anybody here ever taken a Myers-Briggs test? They got like 15 points on this side, a 0 in the middle, and 15 points on this side. Well, I am like 1 to the extrovert from dead center. Like I'm a 1 over to the extrovert side. So obviously I like a lot of writing time alone, but I also get fueled up for a good long while from being around people. And so bouncing back and forth between being all alone in my room and writing and going to these cons where there's thousands of people and I get to talk to them face to face, just ended up being the formula that worked really well for me. And I went the first few times to just try and test the waters, and then I made a plan. I wanted to market my books, so in the end, like if I broke even and didn't make any money, that would be fine. But I wanted to make sure that I got my books out into the world. Second, I wanted to make super fans, as you mentioned before. Like I wanted to meet the people face to face and get them on board and get people that were not only excited about reading my books, but telling other people about them. And then the third thing was to maybe make some money. And I have to say at this point, going to cons, I'm rocking at a high level on all 3 of those. So it makes me very happy. It's been successful for me. So I started it, it seemed to fit, and then it was working, and let's stick with the thing that works, right?
Yep, hands down. I love it. Let's see, in the comments, they're talking about the books they love. Like Spikette says Fetch is still one of the best books. I'm wondering, do you have something that sticks out as your fans' favorite book, or is it all over the board?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to say something directly to Spikette if I can. So I wasn't planning on doing a sequel to Summer of the Fetch, but I got hit with an idea recently, and I think there's going to be a sequel to that. So if Fetch was your favorite, you may end up looking forward to this particular sequel. So, okay. So your question, would you please repeat that for me, and I will answer it.
Do you have any of your series? Is there something that really sticks out as the fan favorite, or is it just kind of spread across the board?
As a fan favorite, I would have to say Wildmane, just because it is my bestseller. So if I have to pick a fan favorite, I should probably go with the one that actually sells the most.
I did buy it.
Wildmane. But I would also say, a lot of people, it really is interesting how you get like a certain number of fans in a certain area and they're just diehard this thing. And Tower of the Four has quite its own little following. Like people love Tower of the Four, or I should say the ones that love Tower of the Four, like they love Tower of the Four.
That's awesome.
I would say as far as I mean, I don't pick favorites amongst my children usually, but I would say the book that is probably closest to my heart is actually probably Summer of the Fetch. I love that story. Every
Yeah,
time
that
I'm
one's my
feeling
favorite
down,
too.
I go and I read the last chapter of that book.
Mhm.
It always makes me feel better.
I love it. I love it. Well, we just got back from Superstars Writing Seminar. What's one awesome thing that you learned this year? Just one. Otherwise, we could go all night.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
One awesome thing that I learned this year. I learned that I may have a fairly unusual perspective on cons. I was on a panel with some really heavy hitters. I mean, much more successful authors than I am. And to a person, they were like, well, you don't really go to cons to make money. And I was
Mhm.
like, actually,
Well, we don't, okay? We're just trying to break even. That's where we are at ours. So, yeah. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. It's nice though because it's so good to see how different people are doing things, right? So something that one
yeah.
author might think it's impossible, I can't do it, and then you have that one person like, well, it worked for me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. I like
And
it.
there's a lot of elements that goes into it. I mean,
Mhm.
like I said at the beginning of my conquering the con workshop, like it's not for everyone, and you really have to
Yeah.
assess whether you have the particular skills that will make you happy doing this, right?
Hmm.
But I mean, just like anything, the more you spend time with something, the more skills you will build, and so you can do it. I think
Hmm.
the real question is, do you want to do it? Because there are a lot of things you have to do and put up with, and those things for me tend to be fairly in stride. I take them fairly in stride. It's like I enjoy doing those things. I enjoy talking to people face to face and having thousands of people walking by. So
I really enjoyed on Friday, and I'm still pretty okay on Saturday. By the time Sunday afternoon comes around, I really don't want to anymore. So, I mean, this is the superpower you have. So it's half the time I'm like, okay, I can't sit down, but can I put one leg on the chair? My feet are killing me. Like I can only fake it so long. Like you said that on that scale, right?
yes,
It's like I can only because I'm faking it, right? So I can only fake it so long, and then I'm like, I am too tired to fake it anymore. So
yeah.
no, I totally get that.
When I get tired at the end of a con, which of course I do. I mean, there's some
Mm-hmm.
pretty long days, 10-hour days in some cases. Sometimes it's even longer than that. But
Uh-huh.
like half an hour or 45 minutes before the end of Sunday, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, one more book. I just want one more book. I mean, I focus on my goals and my stretch
Uh-huh.
goals. And that's what drives me through. My feet are hurting,
Gotcha.
my throat is dry because like the air is all sterile and sucked of moisture, and I mean, like the, the fluorescent lights have been beating on you for days, and you're just like, focus on the goal. Okay, one more. I'm going to be bright and sunny for one more person. Come over here. Come over here.
So you're not only good at conning us into buying your books, you're also good at conning yourself into selling them. I mean, that's a true
Yes.
skill.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that is a true skill. Oh, I love that. I want you to know the audience said most of them cannot choose a favorite. Becca says she can't choose
Oh,
one. Yeah, Mad Men and Heroes said that I should have a favorite, but I don't. Yeah, so they have a lot of things going on in there. So I just thought I would ask. You never know. Um, I want to see if I was missing out and I had to read something else, but obviously I'm reading Wild Mane next. So
yeah, you got Wild Mane now.
Wild Mane now. You during Superstars, you got to celebrate the release of your latest novel in the Eldros
Yes.
Legacy universe. It's Ren the Traveler.
Yes.
What was that like to be surrounded by your fellow writers in that kind of celebration?
It was wonderful. I had so many people coming up to me and saying congratulations, and I mean, it was just really, really, really cool. It's
Mhm.
going to Superstars writing seminars is one of the highlights of my year, and I think for everybody that goes there, it is one of the highlights of their year. And we just get to be around tribe. We get to be around people who understand us when we're talking about the silly, crazy, imaginative things that we talk about. I mean, the more I hang out with writers, the harder it
Mhm.
is to hang out with non-writers. It's just or non-readers, I should say, because readers are kind of in the same boat. Because like it just seems like so many conversations seem so boring to me when like you could be talking to somebody who's like, so if I was going to put a body in my trunk and get away with it, this is how I would do. I mean, these are the kinds of conversations that you have with writers, and none of them are serious about them. They're just their imaginations are going all the time. It's not even like they're actually going to go and put a body in their trunk, but they like to think about it. So
Mhm.
I just love that. I love that about writers. They're very
Yep.
interesting, deep, quirky, fascinating people.
No boring questions. Oh, Lihia, she said that Kyvan is her favorite and Laurel, which means she's going to love Ren, right? Because that's the third one.
Well, she already read Ren. I think Ren is what, third down the list. Although I think I do, if I'm not mistaken, we had a conversation about it, which was really, really wonderful. But she was one of my advanced reader copy readers, one of my advanced readers, and she kind of told me all about how she felt about the story. And there's a point in the story, and I'm not going to put any spoilers, but a point that comes right around the midpoint. And to a person who has read that novel, they're like, so yeah, I was into the story and it was kind of good. And I was really getting into Ren, or, whatever it is they were feeling. And then like I hit the midpoint and then I did not put the book down. Like I had to stay up until late at night to find out what was going to happen, because, oh my God, like, how could you do that? And so there's a whole story about how I ended up doing what I did at the midpoint of the book. So, and for those of you who feel like I'm being particularly vague, I am, because I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save you from...
It won't work if we all know what it is.
Right? Exactly.
So you're just preparing us that if you're nearing the middle of the book, make sure you have nothing else to do. Got it. I like it.
Oh, I see a question popping up here.
Yes, I do too. That is Petway. We were just talking earlier about how I call you Petway and no one else does. So he says, Todd, do you ever take your son to the cons? And if so, is he as good at selling the books as his old man? Well, that's a good question.
Okay, so in some ways he's better, and in some ways I've got an edge on him because I've done like hundreds, possibly even thousands of pitches at this point. But I took Dash at age, what was he, 14, maybe 13? To Fanex in Albuquerque, and he had some drawings. Like he draws stuff, and he had some drawings he wanted to sell. And I swear, the first day he sold like $250 worth of stuff, and I sold zero. So
you're like, never mind, you can't come.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I really had to kind of take it on the chin and just be like, you know what? Maybe this con isn't about me. Maybe this con is about Dash, and I'm going to support him. But I mean, like, this kid is as cute as the day is long, and he's like 14, and he's just getting all the attention. Here I'm like this old geezer standing by my books going, would you like to buy? No, you want to go talk to the cute kid? Fine, go talk to the kid.
I love you. You can't come anymore.
Yeah, no. But I mean, he actually, I get to go to San Diego Comic-Con this year, and he specifically said he wants to come and he wants to sell books with me. And I know once I train him up and he's focused on it, he's gonna rock the hell out of it. Because he's an actor also, so his memory for lines is awesome. And if once I give him that pitch, he's gonna do it. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. This is good practice too for him to do the boost stuff if he wants to do acting. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, the last time we talked, you were sharing the screen with your fellow Eldros Legacy authors.
Yes.
So what is the benefit of building this mutual universe?
Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how inspired I have been by the whole Eldros project. I mean, like, we got together, we started brainstorming things about the world, and then I just couldn't. Hang on, I've got a ding going on here, and I want to stop the ding. Well, how do I stop that?
You're too unpopular. They're all trying to see you.
I know, right?
Usually, if you silence your phone, it'll do it.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Yep.
Okay, but I can't hear you. Okay.
Oh well, that's a
Anyways, I'll find out what that is next time. Anyway, so I don't want to interrupt anymore. We'll just have to suffer the ding. Okay.
Okay. I'm trying to giggle and not add anything to that, saying this is the wrong channel to say something like that too. Just for the record, you are so lucky that the D&D people aren't on right now. Okay.
Right now, stop it. Stop texting me. You're watching and you're texting me. Stop it. So yeah, I think Dash will be a heck of a salesman when we get to that point. Was there another question that I missed? I was distracted.
It's okay. It says no, but Major Mayhem says that Dash needs to cosplay Kyvan.
Yeah, well, he, in a way, he kind of has. I took some shots of him when I was putting together how I wanted the figure to be posed on the cover, and so he was actually doing he was doing this sort of pose, and then he did the Kyvan pose where he's kind of got the sword and he's coming around front. Like, he did all those poses with a sword, because I have a few swords in my house. Yeah. And so that was actually, that pose of Kyvan was based off of one of his poses. So
that's pretty cool. So he is ready. He's good to go. And the question was, what is the benefit of building this mutual universe? with Eldros
Oh
Legacy?
yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, it's just been so inspiring. I mean, I get together with Marie and with Mark and with Quincy and all of the cohorts. In fact, at this point, I mean, we started off just the five of us. Rob has since moved on to other projects, but it was me and Rob and Quincy and Marie and Mark, and now it's just me and Mark and Marie and Quincy, and it just like I can't stop writing on Eldros. I have several other projects, as the fans of Tower of the Four will tell you, and the fans of Whisper Prince will have told you. They want me to keep working on the projects that I've got, and and all I want to do is write. I mean, like, I got done with Kyvan, and all I wanted to do was write Laurel, and I got done with Laurel, and boom, immediately I started in on Ren the Traveler, and now I'm done with Ren the Traveler, and I really don't need to put out any more books at this point. We were all going to put out like a book a year, and I'm like 2 books ahead, right? But
And they're all like,
Slater
slow down.
he's talking. So this is one of the huge advantages of this group, is that the imagination that we can run together, it's just phenomenal. We have a creative meeting every other Thursday, and we get together and talk about things. And in fact, it was in that creative meeting that they made me do the midpoint of Ren that I have mentioned before. That's why it's there. So any of you who want to blame me for being such a mean and horrible and awful and evil author, it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. It was I'm gonna float that blame over
Blame
the
them all.
entire cohort of Eldros Legacy creatives.
Well, I know when you originally talked about it, that you talked about there was going to be like an Avengers novel, right? Like one where all of the heroes and villains like get together to fight some big evil. How's that, like, how close are y'all to getting there?
Yeah, so we're actually having our meeting on that sometime in mid-February, maybe late February. It's coming up soon. We're going to get together and start brainstorming the bones of that particular book, which we're hoping will be done by, say, June-ish, and come out in time for the holidays, probably, if not before.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, very smart. And so are they just going to make you write it because you're fastest, and they'll just go back and add it and stuff? I mean, if I was in charge, that's what I would do.
It was a topic of conversation, but we feel that we should all do this together, right? We're all going to do this together. They did vote me in as essentially, like, we decided that for the novel, we needed to have somebody who could veto things and support things or whatever, and when it needed to be one person, and they did vote me in as that person, right? So I'm like I guess the creative compiler is, I guess, what I would call myself.
Creative compiler. Oh, y'all could do better than that. You'll come up with something. I'll have Mark come up with something. It'll be hilarious.
Okay.
Well, when you share this later, you'll want to feature something. What do you want me to ask you about?
What do I want you to ask me about?
Mm-hmm. What do you want to share?
I would say, I mean, my first thing I think is I want to know what the fans want to ask about Eldros Legacy. Questions that maybe they had during the stories, or questions they have about the future. I mean, I won't promise that I'm going to tell you everything. I don't want you to ruin the plot for you, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind. If I wanted somebody to ask me questions, those would be the questions that I would want to feel.
Well, the audience is talking about Slater.
Okay.
So who's Slater? What can you tell us about him?
Oh, okay.
For those of us who haven't read it yet. I know I'm behind.
Mm-hmm. So Slater, so Slater is the mage, and he is very briefly seen in Kyvan the Unkillable. In fact, in the beginning of the story of Kyvan the Unkillable, we're not even really sure that he's a good guy or a bad guy, right? And in
the best
book
kind of
2,
character.
Exactly. And in book 2, he flourishes. He really comes into his own in Laurel of the Dark. I mean, he is brilliant at what he does. In fact, he's like, one mage in a lifetime kind of mage. And I've made him purposefully to be extremely ADHD, and actually kind of based those parts of his personality off my son, who was extremely ADHD. And essentially, I told Dash when he was young, he came to me and he's like, Dad, I've got so many thoughts in my head, and I get in trouble in class all the time because they're like, pay attention, and I just have so many thoughts in my head, and I don't know what to do with them, and I can't get control of them. And I essentially said to him, look, Dash, this is actually a superpower. You don't see it that way because you're frustrated with it and you're struggling with it. But imagine this. let's say most people have 5 horses running around in their stable at any given time, and you have 50. If you ever get the reins on those horses and get them to run in one direction, there's nothing you can't do. And I swear to you, that's exactly what he did. I mean, the kid is brilliant. And so I based Slater off of this notion that he's got 50 horses running every different direction all the time. And he has the capacity to put reins on them most of the time. And of course, once he gets into this group and they're starting to kind of bolster his weaknesses, he's allowing himself to even indulge more and more into these things that he thinks about that are far beyond what anybody else is thinking about. One great example from Laurel of the Dark is they've got this little Queen's Council room that they all gather in, right, to talk about problems that they have. And Slater is always fidgeting, and you should see my desk. I've got, because I'm ADHD too, I've got all these little things, these fidget toys that I've got. I'll just hold them all up. Here's my Slinky. I've got, all these different things to play with because kinesthetic learners need something to mess around with while they're thinking, right?
Yep.
They need, like, this is just a piece of PVC pipe that I constantly mess around with while I'm thinking, right? So Slater is constantly like playing with things on the table, and it seems like he's not paying attention, but he's actually 3 steps ahead of everybody. And he's playing with the things because he's bored. They need to talk about the things. He's already made the decision of what it is and what needs to happen. Yeah, he already knows. He already knows the answer. And then, of course, by the time they get around to discussing it and they're like, Slater, what do you think? They're like, oh, well, it was Professor Plum in the study with the wrench. And like, why didn't you tell us? It was like, well, you didn't ask me.
They would have believed it when he first said it. They had to go. They had to get there. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah,
exactly. And so there's a lot of this, but like when he gets into combat, it's just really funny because Slater is not really afraid of dying. He's afraid of not learning the new thing that he just discovered, right? So there's such a great scene where this dragon is coming at them and is about to burn them up, and he like looks up and he's like, "Is that a dragon?" And kind of like get in, get under cover, get away from the dragon. So he's a great character. It's really fun, and it's interesting because I think if I had to pick who the fan favorite was, it's probably Slater. More people talk about than anybody else. So,
that's awesome. Kevin Petway wants to know: do you have a lore keeper for Eldros, or is that you?
Yeah, I am not officially the lore keeper. I'm kind of hoping somebody who has a better memory than me will step up and do that. I'm thinking maybe Becca may be that person. I think she's really good at remembering things. Certainly she is.
Hint, Becca.
Yeah. But I would say if any of them are lore keeper, any of the founders, it's Quincy. Quincy has read all the books except for Red, and that's on his to be read list.
It says nope.
So it's probably Quincy. What's that?
Becca says nope with capital letters.
Nope.
Well, Quincy's not here to redeem himself or to deny. Yeah, so it's Quincy. That's it. It's official.
Becca is ridiculously Noxanon loyal.
I love it.
She will fight all kinds.
Now for the stuff I care about. Okay, so if you had to take your closest loved ones and escape to a compound off the grid, where would you want that compound to be?
Ooh. Wow. What kind of apocalypse are we talking about here?
Whichever one you choose.
Whichever one I choose. I don't know. I love the mountains, so it's probably going to be in the mountains. I'm trying to think of...
In Colorado, there's not enough rain. I always think Colorado wouldn't work if there's not enough rain. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like water would be a problem, but then, like, if you had a good filter, like, I mean, I hiked the Colorado Trail for 5 weeks, and we never ran out of water because we would go to the water sources, and I mean, let's face it, if it's an apocalyptic world, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of people out there, and if you're in the mountains and you're close to those almost glaciers that are melting off all year long, you just got a water filter and you're good. So probably the mountains. That's the only thing I can think of. I would like be in like a bunker in the mountains somewhere.
Sounds safe-ish to me. Let's see. Whose Huckleberry are you?
If you're talking about like in terms of the movie Tombstone, where he's talking to his enemy and is ready to step up and fight, anybody who would say that my books are lousy, I guess. I would be like, I'd have my gun behind my back, I'm your Huckleberry. Say when.
Let's do this. I like it. And your assistant, Becca, who we've talked about already, I finally got to meet her. Never got to sit down and talk to her. I mean, you just had her too busy, Todd. It's just
I know.
mean. Like,
She's very proactive. Like, I mean, I ask her to do probably about a third of the things she actually does, and everything she does is absolutely essential. Because I will forget, I'll be like, oh, I don't know, and I'll turn around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a pen, and I'll turn, and there she is, and I have a pen. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I don't have any books to show in my presentation, and she'll have the books right there. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I love it. So at what point did you decide you needed an assistant, and how did you find her?
About 5 years ago, I needed an assistant, and I didn't get one until about half a year ago. so yeah. And it actually is really kind of a cool story. She met Rob Howell at Superstars last year, and he invited her to write in Noxanon, or not Noxanon, in Eldros. And ostensibly under his continent, though, we allow people to pick the continent that they want to write in. And she read Kaiven and just really, really liked it. And she sort of messaged me very timidly and says, would it be all right if I write in your continent? And I'm like, well, ask Rob, that's fine. It's fine with me, but ask Rob. And so she asked me, he's like, sure, yeah, whatever, write wherever you want. And from then on, she was just totally all about Noxanon, which was great. And then we sort of built the relationship of her being my assistant. And it's been career changing for me, honestly. It's amazing. For any of you who are trying to do this and you can find somebody who is even half as good an assistant as Becca, do it. It will help you so much.
That's awesome. I love it. How do you decide who to dedicate your books to?
Pretty much whoever walks into my office, like when I'm writing the last chapter, that's, no, I'm just kidding. Usually every one of my books.
To Galahad.
Well, I try and make dedications to people who will appreciate them. Galahad's not going to.
He's the last one who walks in your office. I mean, come on.
He's like, if I should have to anti-dedicate books to Galahad because he draws me away from the computer more than anybody else. He will actually come up next to me. Like, I'll have my hand on the mouse, So like, let's see, my hand will be on the mouse like this, and he'll kind of come in from the side, and his snout will be here, and he'll be like, he'll just knock my hand off the mouse. I don't know if you've ever tried to actually use a mouse when someone's knocking your hand. It's really hard. It's actually really, really difficult to do. So no, I don't think I'm going to be dedicating a story to Galahad anytime soon. But no, typically I dedicate stories to people who had an influence on the story. And I mean, I go through phases where I'll be really intensely connected and talking to a particular person or one person over here, one person over there. I dedicate, so those end up being the people that I will dedicate it to. If somebody had like an extreme influence on the story, like for example, like Dash with Ordinary Magic, we hiked the trail together. So, I mean, I dedicate that to him. Summer of the Fetch, I think I dedicated to my children because it's a story about coming of age, right? But I dedicate a lot of books to my wife. Laura was there at the beginning, and she supports me to this day. She's the reason that I've been able to write 24 books. I mean, literally without her, I may have written 4 or 5, because she really picked up the slack when we did the sort of toss across. She was the stay-at-home parent, and I did the breadwinning with the day job for like 9-10 years. And then at a certain point, she was like, I think I want to do something else aside from be the mom and the stay-at-home parent. I would like to, use the college degree I got. And I was like, absolutely. You tell me what you want to do, and I'm going to support that, and then I'll just be the stay-at-home parent and write books. And that's what we did. We just sort of did that, and she went off and made a fantastic career for herself that enabled me in the lean years. I'm getting to the point where I could actually support myself writing now. But in the lean years, she was doing all the supporting, which was great.
That's fantastic. Plus, you want to stay married, so it makes sense to me. I get that. Uh,
Yes, I very want to stay married.
very much want to stay married. Plus, isn't she like a black belt in Taekwondo?
She is.
I
She
mean,
is
I
a
know
black
you
belt.
are too, but it is your wife, so it's kind of hard to fight back, right? So,
Yeah, for a number of reasons. Because if I hurt her, the pain will be delivered back upon me times 10.
and none of it'll be
I'm,
physical pain. Yeah.
she might dispute this, but I'm pretty sure I can put her down with a couple of lucky shots, but I never would. Of course, my wife has a metal leg. She's got a prosthetic leg, and if she gets you one shot with a kick with that leg, I mean, it's like being hit with a sharp metal club. So you won't get up from that. You're not going to
No,
get up from
that's
that.
it. You're done. Um, how do you decide? Or no, sorry. Which character of yours do you relate to most?
Oh, that's so hard. Every single hero I've ever written about that is a protagonist
Mhm.
is a version of me that I wanted to be at the time. Like you look at
Yeah.
Wildmane, Metafay, the main character of that,
Mhm.
like I wrote him at a time when my parents had just divorced. I was living at a friend's house because both of them had gone to California and I wanted to stay in Colorado. And I was essentially living on my own with sort of this new story. I mean, I was thrown into the world and I felt sort of helpless. And Wildmane is the type of character that you put him in any physical situation and he's not in trouble. And I wanted that. I wanted to be invincible to the world like that. And so that was how that character kind of came about.
Mhm.
Kyvan is a character that deals a lot with commitment phobia, which I suffer from to this day.
Do you?
Um,
You've been married how long? I don't believe you.
well, here's the thing. If
Uh-huh.
it's a commitment that is important to me, like as far as like down to the roots of my soul from here to the end of time, which would be my wife, my kids, and writing stories. Like those are the three, right?
Those your aim.
And I will
Uh-huh.
commit. You're not going to be able to tear me away from that commitment.
Mhm.
If you want me to come over to your house for Super Bowl,
No.
I'll say, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea," but I will not say yes. I will not. And like on the day of, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, okay, that sounds good," and then I will go and I will join your party. I mean, like if you want me to go do something, show up at my house 30 minutes before the thing and say, "Hey, you want to go?" I would say your percentage odds of me going will be that much better because I'm very spontaneous. I just am terrified of commitment.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I feel I must mention that your appearance tonight ties you with Mark Stallings.
Ah, well then
I'm
we have to
not
do
sure
another
he
one
was
like a
happy
week
about
from
that.
now so that I can beat him.
Well, right now, so I'm going to put you on next week for that. Yeah, yeah, because I'm
Yeah,
not sure
yeah.
he's happy. Do you have something to say to him?
To Mark, oh, I got
Yeah,
a lot of things to say. How much
yeah.
time do we have left? Is really the
We
the
got half an
question here.
hour, so I mean, we're good.
No, Mark is awesome. Mark is amazing. Mark is the reason that I'm in Eldros Legacy at all. I mean, like he and Marie, essentially, they were. I was not their first choice. I'm just saying. So there were five of them, and one of them ended up with a lot of commitments that he couldn't do Eldros and do all these commitments that he had lined up. And so they're like, who should we get that isn't, that would be a fantasy writer? So I was Johnny Come Lately, and it was because of Marie and Mark both kind of went, we got to get Todd. And so then I got the call from Mark. So I mean, I will be forever indebted to Mark. Not to mention that in addition to that, Ordinary Magic exists. And oh, should I mention? I think somebody put it in the chat. Ordinary Magic just hit #1 on Amazon in its category. So that was a nice little surprise for me this afternoon. I was just kind of like, I tend to look at my books every now and then, and it is currently a #1 bestseller on Amazon. It is the true story of me and my son hiking the Colorado Trail 450 miles over 5 weeks straight. 14-year-old boy and 50-year-old man hiking into the wilderness with 50-pound packs on their backs, running away from lightning, almost falling off cliffs. It was quite the adventure. It's like it's an adventure in modern day told by someone with a flair for fantasy writing. So it's a good story. Oh yes, the bears. Thank you, Major Mayhem. The bear spray. I sprayed
Wait, wait,
myself in the
wait,
face.
wait, wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt the bear spray question because it seems we have a visitor on. There's somebody else who is on here. Somebody else got in on the call. I can't even tell what language that is.
Somebody's on the call.
Yeah, what's going on there? Zafo?
It's got to be. It's in Cyrillic, so.
Is that Cyrillic? Who's on our call?
It is all lies. Kaivan is lies.
Somebody hacked the feed? Is that what you're saying?
Somebody hacked the feed and they're on here. Who do we have on here?
Oh, man. You can't let him in the door like that. Now he's going to have just as many as me, even if I do another one. Now
5, baby. This is my 5th appearance. Because, Todd, I know you like being second. Look at it. He's chafing already.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. He is not happy.
So, Todd, Ordinary Magic.
Yes.
You got back from this. We met up for dinner, and Todd was kind enough to meet up with my wife and I. And I told him that this was a story that everybody needed to hear, especially the bear spray. So what happened with that?
So I can't remember. Actually, I'd have to go back and
well, here,
I can't remember.
Let me get my copy of Ordinary Magic. And maybe I should read it to the home audience.
You're just gonna like hone in on all of the places where I totally screwed up. That's what you're gonna do, aren't you?
No, just this one specific time.
Hey, Becca says that you can't bear to tell the story.
Oh,
I cannot bear to tell this. And I plan to, if Mark is close enough, I plan to say it. Spray it, not say it. Anyways, okay. So, we've just gotten done with the second segment, right? We've walked for 2 weeks. This is the end of the second week, and no, this is the end of the third week. I take it back. This is the end of the third week, right? So I have gone through foot hell, and they're just starting to heal, right? We have gotten to the end where we're going to get picked up by my wife at 3:30, and we are just out of like this much. I've got this much water left in my my vapor jugs, right? And that's all the water we've got. Dash is dry, and there's a water source like, I don't know, half a mile up the trail, but we're not walking half a mile up the trail. We're going to sit here. We're going to get a ride. We're going to have cheeseburgers tonight, the whole 9 yards. And half an hour goes by. She doesn't show. Another half an hour goes by. It's 4:30 now. She doesn't show. We approach 5 o'clock, and I'm like, did she get lost? Where is she? Like, and the sun's going to go down in about 30 minutes, right? So we reach 5:20, and I'm starting to panic, right? I'm just like, holy crap, like we got to do something. So we get out on the road, and we put our packs like on the gravel by the road. Before, we were kind of sitting back from the road in this parking lot because we assumed we knew where she was going. So we're like watching the cars now, seeing which one might be her. And I sit down on my pack, frustrated, and I told myself, never sit down on your pack, because I've got a thermarest that is air-filled thermarest. And it's like, it's one of those things you blow up and then you lay down on it. And I don't want to puncture it, right? And I'm, 200 plus pound guy, and you sit down on the thermarest on gravel and it could possibly puncture it, right? So I'm sitting down on the thermarest, and all of a sudden I hear a, and I'm like, oh, you idiot. So I get up and I look at my thermarest, and then I notice that the bear spray has slipped out of its pouch, its little holder. I had a little quick draw holder for it just in case. And the protective guard has slipped sideways, right? And so I'm like, oh, I got to put that guard back on. Like, that's why it was hissing. It was actually spraying bear spray into the ground. So I picked the thing up, and here's the one thing I did right, just FYI. I pointed the nozzle away from myself. Okay? The one thing I did right. And then I tried to put the thing back on. Well, it's now slick with bear spray. It slips and it triggers. Now the trigger is kind of like a fire extinguisher, right? So you push it down and it goes out. This thing sits in between the two things that trigger, and it slips out, and then my hand is pressed on it and it slips. And this gout of bear spray goes spraying out right into the wind and curls back into my eyes. And I'm like, son of a, like immediately, oh, the pain. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm just like, It is so intensely painful. And Dash, who thankfully was standing like 5-7 feet away from me, doesn't get hit by the bear spray. And he's like, "Oh my God, Dad, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Get away! Don't."
He made his
don't
deck
get close
save.
to me. Like,
That's
you know,
right.
and
His
so-
deck save. Dash rolled better than
And
Todd
so,
Yep, for the
and so
breath weapon
now
attack.
I'm like,
Yep.
I'm panicked, and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, I've got to get this out of my eyes." And I bring my hands up to wipe my eyes, and at the last second, I'm like, "Your hands are wet with bear spray. Don't be a moron." I got my. It was that close. It was that close. I was like, "Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that." And I'm like, "I gotta. Where's some water? Give me some water." And Dasher like goes and he grabs my vapor, which, like I remember I said, we were almost out of water. And I'm thinking, this is not going to be enough to flush my eyes. And I lean my head sideways and I'm like trickling it in, and I can't see anything. Everything is a big blur. And now I'm starting to think, did I just blind myself? Am I going to be blind? You know, I'm thinking, okay, they wouldn't give this to just any idiot if it was going to blind you, right? There's got to be like I'm starting to rationalize in my mind how I could possibly be okay, but I don't believe myself, right? So Dashiell's like, "What can I do? What can I do? What can I do?" And I'm like, "Get the water filter stuff. Go run a half a mile and get me some more water." Like, I can't think of anything else that I can tell him to do. There's nothing else. There's nothing but gravel and dirt and my bear spray hands, right? So anyways, long story short, after I trickled the water in and he's gone going and filtering water, my eyes start to feel better. And I start to realize, okay, maybe I'm not going to be blind. And slowly my vision starts to come back in my right eye, though my left eye was not good. And then Dash returned with the water. I flushed the rest of the stuff out, and it ended up being fine so far as that entire situation could possibly be fine. So that was one of the many idiotic moments on the trail.
Yes.
Yes.
Florida Kevin says that he's been gathering some extra sympathy for the bears. I'm like, same. Poor things. Jeez. I tell you, though, Todd didn't want to eat any hikers after that bear spray. So it does work.
That's probably true.
I was done with hiker eating. That was it.
That was it. We'll never do
So,
it again. I love
never again. Never
love it.
again. Yeah, that one just got highlighted by the Sunlit magazine here in Denver, and I think that was maybe the reason for its run up to #1 again, because it did hit #1 the first time it came out, and now it's there again. So if you guys are interested in a tale of two people, father and son, on the trail, it's a good read. A lot of it is very, very much a coming of age story for Dash, and actually a coming of age story for me at age 50. There were a lot of parallels that I would draw between when I was 14 and Dash being 14 on the trail. And there's some pretty amazing things that happen. So it's one of my favorites. It really is.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yep. It's really nice. It's awesome.
Mark.
All right, Mark.
Sneaky bastard.
Now that
All right.
Mark is our highest
Highest
Hi.
guest on here. All right, Todd, I got one more clarification for you. So let's talk about how
Okay,
Todd
excellent.
came to Eldros. So when Quincy, Rob, and I got together and we needed to find some other fantasy authors, Todd was actually the top of my list, believe it or not. But we chose another gentleman because he had a deep background in gaming and writing gaming tied in novels, because
Gotcha.
one of our goals is to eventually release a gaming supplement so that you guys on the home audience can actually play. So that's why we went that direction first, but then we quickly reeled it back over to Todd.
You see how quickly he can fabricate things? This is why he's a storyteller, because he's just,
Well,
he's like, Todd was like
that's the
10 on our
reality.
list, and we got around because
Todd has always been near and dear to my heart since I met him at Superstars, 2016, something like that, with his First Pages party.
Yeah, First
2017.
Pages is where I met Todd too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. First Pages.
I love
those,
the First Pages party.
Yeah, for those newbies, can you tell us what First Pages party is, Todd?
Yeah, so it's this thing that just sort of started off the cuff at Superstars writing seminars, where Chris Mandeville and I just got in a room and said, "Hey, anybody here wants to come and read their first 16 lines? We'll tell you what we think of it and give you our feedback on this." And we were stunned that I think the first year we actually had almost a full room, and then the second year word got around and it was packed. Like, I mean, we couldn't get to all the people until I think the second year went till midnight. So essentially we just kind of go through people's first pages and just make a party of it. You know, it's really informal, and we're just kind of like looking at things and telling them what we think, and giving them encouragement, showing them where their first 16 lines are really hitting it. It's a really great exercise.
I loved it. Hey, I found Kevin Petway that way and signed him and adored his work. So it's very useful. Nice.
Very
Mark,
cool.
do you have any more questions before we kick you off?
Oh, I don't. I mean, I love Todd.
Guy, you.
And I just, thank you for letting me crash the party.
So I'm wondering if this counts as like a 0.25, that he's been on the show for like 4.25.
We're just
So
ticking,
now I only
it's an appearance, baby. It's an appearance. It totally.
I'm gonna remember that.
He was telling me, tell me that Regis Philbin. So you are now Regis Philbin.
Yes, I am.
Of course, that makes Todd Tom Hanks.
No, that makes Todd Kelly, doesn't it?
No, I mean, no, Tom Hanks. You were telling me when they were making their appearances on Johnny Carson.
True.
Yeah, you want to tell that story real quick before I kick you off?
No.
This is why we did this, Todd. No, you don't want to tell it?
No, I'm not going to tell it. I'm going to let you get back to Todd, because he's actually the star of this show.
He is the star.
He's actually the star of every show, which is why I'm thankful you let me crash it.
There you go. We do.
I'm Todd's dwarf in the chariot. I tell him that you are mortal.
And he goes, no, I'm not. And he keeps going.
All right. And then, Todd, just for clarification, I will be seeing you Monday, because that's when we're plotting the Avengers novel. Monday.
That's right.
Ooh, it's Monday this time. Not Thursday. Yep. Don't worry. Becca would have reminded me.
Well, he's like, we'll do that in the middle of the month. And, it is the 14th.
Uh-huh.
It is the middle of the month.
Yeah, it was the middle of the month. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would have got there. I only look at things like 2 steps in front of me. Bye, Mark. Thanks so much for crashing. This was great.
Thank you.
I will not begrudge you the 0.25 show that you have ahead of me now.
Yeah, he jumped in on the 50th anniversary that you were on. And I was like, and he's like, see, I'm still ahead of Todd. I'm like, yeah, but you won't be, because he's going to tie you on Tuesday. He's like, what? He gets me a lot of guests. I mean, I'm sorry. I had to do it. It's the way this works. But you've been great. And we are down to our very last question. So here we go. The important ones. First, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Ooh, Moose Tracks. Like Moose Tracks Extreme, the chocolate with the chocolate on the chocolate. I love that one.
Sounds delicious.
Of course, Utterly Chocolate by Tillamook is also really good. It's one of those two. I love them both. They're both good.
Love Tillamook cheese.
Oh, wait, but then there's Ben and Jerry's flavors that are also really good. No, I will stick with those.
I think the answer is ice cream. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty much any ice cream, like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good.
You're in. Can zombies climb?
Can zombies climb? Well, of course they can climb, as you will note when you read Ren the Traveler.
Oh, there you go. We shall see the zombies. What is your least favorite chore around the house?
Scrubbing the toilet, for sure.
Fair. And what is your favorite thing about hiking in the mountains?
Oh, wow. Like hiking in the mountains in general, or like the trip I took with Dash?
Let's say in general.
In general?
Even if you're by yourself, or, you're with Galahad, or you're with the whole family, just period. What is it about that?
The copious amounts of ordinary magic.
Oh, see, you're just a natural born salesman, and you actually put out the product too. I mean, how do you do both? That's just amazing. All right. And finally, where can fans find you and your work?
So toddfahnestock.com is a great place to find all of my stuff. The thing I'm working on most right now is Eldros Legacy. You can find me at eldroslegacy.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Todd Fahnestock Author, as well as my Facebook group page, which is a lot of fun. It's Edge of Your Seat Epic Fantasy is the name of the group. Edge of Your Seat Epic Fantasy, because that's pretty much my brand.
I love it. Well, now that Todd Fahnestock is your new favorite author, please make sure to review him and his work. And you can review us wherever it is you get podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.